Hey everybody, welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Caught me in the middle of my training exercises. See, not everyone has what it takes to take on the worst comic books ever made. It requires rigorous training. See, a bad comic is easy to riff on. The bland, the boring, the banal, that's where you really need to get yourself pumped. More on that after the theme song. I frequently get asked is why I do so many first issues. Well, primarily it's because a first issue is easier to spot if it's going to be crap or not. It's easy to get confused about what's going on if you picked up part 4 of a 6-part comic and you haven't read anything else in it after all. The other reason is because a first issue is supposed to be the point where a new reader will pick it up and give it a chance. While I doubt that very many in the industry actually watch my show, I like to think I'm doing a service to it by pointing out ways to improve. One of those is, of course, by instructing on the first issue. A first issue should be easy to follow, hook the reader in, and present the premise of the series while also making the reader care about the character. Now, admittedly, in this day and age of decompressed storytelling, it can be difficult to do that in just 22 pages. But when you have 48 pages, there's no excuse. Say what you will about Nightcat, and I've said an awful lot, it did at least set the stage for a series, even if the main antagonist was killed off at the end. It was a done-in-one that set up the character, the supporting characters, and created a viable storytelling engine for future issues. Which is why we're digging into Scarlet #1, a donation from Spoonie's girlfriend of the same name. This could conceivably have been a decent series, but as we'll see, the combination of terrible art, a lack of focus on the title character, and just plain silliness all amount to a mediocre comic. And if it seems like I'm being easy on this thing as we go along, the cover is really all you need to know why. It's average. Okay, the fangs and eyes are a neat effect, but the eyes are far too simple, and our heroine is just standing in a pool of blood while looking at the reader. Then there's this doofus who looks absolutely confused, like he was taken out of a Rob Liefeld comic and just dropped off here. Also, I think he put his mohawk on sideways. We open to a prologue, because heaven forbid it just be part of the comic. No, it has to be a prologue. It makes it more like literature or something. Manhattan after midnight. Comic creators do realize that there are places outside of New York, right? We meet some sort of evil gorilla man whose goons drag in another guy. Martin, I had such hopes for you. Instead you shame yourself and jeopardize the interests of the Clave. The Clave? What, did this guy decide he didn't want to bang 2 sticks together to make music? The guy tries to get out of it by making an excuse, but his boss doesn't buy it for a second, threatening him with the power of his widow's peak. As the guy is dragged out, we learn that the Gorilla Man is named Mr. Praxis. A businessman is let in. Sorry to have kept you waiting. Last-minute business matters to settle, you understand. Yes, we saw him on his way out. Pruning middle management again, Cormac? Tough times demand tough measures, Vincent. He's going about this all wrong. As a boss, he should be encouraging his employees. This is just going to create a hostile work environment. So we meet the other poorly drawn losers, including O-Ren Ishii here, and the guy who assembled the new men. And then we get a nice prolonged sequence of them walking and talking about the procedure of their little cult meeting. Because Lord knows I buy comics so I can hear Robert's Rules of Order. Speaking of which, is anyone else sick of evil cults wearing hooded robes? Just once, I'd like an evil cult that dressed in business casual. Is that so wrong? All rise and bid welcome to the Clave's chosen guildmaster, the most ancient Lord Cormac Praxis, and to his honored guests. But before that, we have some birthdays today. So Praxis the Gorilla Man sits down and begins his little monologue. I know your own affairs are pressing, but unity is important in this time of crisis. Boo! Bring on the headliner! You're not funny! As you know, the Screed, that body of law which binds us as one in the darkness, contains much valuable wisdom. Toothpaste does not go in your ears. Lucky numbers 5, 17, 19. So he rambles on about how the prophecies speak of something dire coming. I am speaking of the prophecies surrounding the Dunkelkinder. I don't care if that turns out to be a real word. That is just an incredibly goofy name. The Dunkelkinder are apparently rootless creatures who are our wayward children, living beyond our law. It is written that one of their number shall, in blithe ignorance, bring forth into the world the Scarlet Redeemer, she who will ultimately destroy all that we hold dear. Boy, I'd hate to have to be this guy and have it turn out that he's not in the right meeting. Sir, I think you've got the wrong room. This is about planning Steve's bachelor party. So he wants to induct Oren as the new high priestess of the cult and brings the guy down who had earlier disappointed him. And for some reason they removed his shirt. I guess this is a cult that worships Captain Kirk. So they toss the guy onto a big spike and he gurgles for a bit as purple blood drops out of his mouth. Ugh, that'll put your panfish down. Then Oren starts consuming the guy's blood and we learn that this is a cult of vampires. Oh Lord, please do not stay my tongue when it comes to Twilight jokes. So now we begin Chapter 1 in a McDonald's stand-in. Two cheerleaders, a jock, and some guy in a purple shirt are all talking about how the blonde girl named Missy has been elected as prom queen. Something about that just seems weird. Aren't the king and queen announced at the prom itself? Well, I don't want to think too hard about high school proms, so instead let's see Jock Boy trip a nerd because, well, he's an asshole. The redhead, being sympathetic, goes to help him. Hey, I haven't read comics since I was a kid. Are these any good? Well, I like them, and some of them are real valuable. He's holding a comic called Malibu High. Valuable my ass! There's no way you can get a trading card with Mr. T from that! Oh, and by the way, thinking the comics are valuable instantly makes me want to smack the kid myself, so maybe I'm being too harsh on the jock. Speaking of which, they clearly think that the jock is an asshole, so why did they even hang out with him? Anyway, purple-shirted guy walks off with the redhead. Hell, even the characters are asking why they hang out with him. 'Cause that's what people expect, you know? You guys are on the team. Missy and I are cheerleaders. Yeah, because hanging out with people you actually like would only bring about individualism. So yeah, this is our main character, Bly, but I'm going to refer to her by the title one of Scarlet from now on, since for most of the book no one ever bothers to say her name, which really confused me when I first read this. Oh, and she's a cheerleader. A cheerleader who's the chosen one to fight off vampires. Something familiar about that. Okay, yes, this was made before the awesome TV series, but it was made after the movie, so I'm still gonna get away with the Buffy jokes. As the purple shirt guy walks off, we have a nice creepy man tap Scarlet on the shoulder. Pardon me, miss. I just wanted to tell you that I still know what you did last summer. Sorry to startle you. Would you like your picture taken with me? Hey, kids, if a strange man in a black coat who is 3 feet taller than you ever asks if you'd like your picture taken with him, run and scream as loud as you can. No, actually, he says his outfit is a Halloween costume. It's part of the Halloween festival. The money goes to charity. I love how he needs to pause there like he's thinking about it. The money goes to hookers. To charity! Charity! I meant charity! Yeah. Also, how the hell does simply taking a picture lead to money? But oh well, let's not worry about that. Creepy guy's manservant takes their picture as he tries to decide what accent he wants to have. Now, in fairness, he explains later that it's to make that part of him seem more memorable than his face, but that's just silly since this is a fictional story. You can make someone not remember someone's face however you want. Who are you supposed to be, anyway? Count Dracula, of course. Yeah, because when I think Dracula, I think the Fisherman from the I Know What You Did Last Summer movies. Hell, even in the Coppola film he wore some goofy outfits, but not a friggin' raincoat! Before Scarlet can run in abject terror, the guy gets a balloon from a clown and gives it to her. And why? It will make her easier to follow. Yes, my superpower is to track balloons. Admittedly, not very many applications, but I get what I can out of it. So the manservant named Raymond reads off her biography from Wikipedia on his Game Boy. She attends McClintock High, where she is a straight A student with a shot at valedictory honors. As you can see, she's a cheerleader. Thespian Society, several other clubs, a very accomplished young lady. And where did this information come from exactly? Did the writer just provide them a copy of the series Bible so they could be fully aware of who they were dealing with? The fisherman asks if she's the one, and he says that it's a 93% chance that she... Whoa! Too close! Too close to Raymond's face! Back it off! We cut to the desert, where a family is driving along a road with an annoying child in the background who won't shut up. They stop at a gas station to let the kid use the bathroom. Restroom's out of order, Dad. My God, it's my long-lost son, Creepy Face! More scary faces surround the car, and the family starts to drive off. One person leaps onto the car. This whole freaking place is out of order!
You're out of order! You're out of order! The whole trial is out of order! They're out of order!
So for some reason the guy lets them go. What you say, Weasel? Yes, the horrifying vampire of old named Weasel. Weasel is mad that he let the family get away, but the blonde vamp points out that someone else is coming. Turns out it's some redneck with a shotgun driving a monster truck. Yee-haw! Time to kick some hippie butt! Finally, some rednecks who aren't communists! Where's Lucy and Ramona? They're right here, Reuben. Right here with me. They've acquired the ability to teleport, which is why you didn't see them a second ago. The redneck named Reuben tries to take one of the women back, but she claws him right in the face. Vamp Boy intercedes and tells us his name. It's Sam. Sunset Sam. I will not drink it at sunset. I will not drink it on a leaflet. I will not drink blood, Sam I am. Now get your teeth off me before I spray you with Pam. Naturally, the redneck shooting him doesn't do crap to Sam the Vampire. By the way, what's going on with the backgrounds? Is there a sandstorm coming up? Should I be yelling that we have worm sign? Then all of a sudden, Gary Coleman leaps onto a guy's head and starts clawing at his eyes. What the hell is going on? Oh, but it turns out that Toucan Sam the Vampire has sandstorm powers. Don't quite remember that from my vampire lore. One guy tries to get away, but I guess Weasel's stowed away in the monster truck. Better get lots and lots of help! How about you call in the National Freaking Guard, man? Well, gotta give these vampires credit. At least they give helpful suggestions when they're trying to kill you. So the truck crashes, burning Weasel up, but he's still alive thanks to, vampire powers, I suppose. I guess his new nickname can be Weasel Well Done. Sam the Vampire smacks him and says that they can't travel with him looking like that, and decides to ride off without the burnt waffle until he can heal. Now, you're probably all wondering at this point why this is that bad. Well, let's consider a couple of things. First, that prologue with the cult, they never reappear. That was 6 pages completely wasted. While this biker gang does appear again later, the first 2 pages with the family are completely pointless, and frankly the backstory of these vampires isn't going to be all that important, especially when we just killed off the backstory of the 2 women. Essentially, we've just reached the halfway mark of the first issue, and less time has been devoted to the title character than to the padding. And this artwork is just awful. Several characters suffer from Youngblood's disease, and I don't know if it's the inker trying to add more definition, but compare the detailing of the first page, especially the hatching on the gorilla boss, and then compare it to the second page, where suddenly the backgrounds have a lot less going on in them, and the characters are just filled in colors with odd proportions to them. It's like they had 2 completely different artists working on this thing at once. Anyway, back to the story itself. Scarlett and her pals are at a Halloween party with the purple-shirted guy now dressed as Robin Hood and plastered thanks to Spiked Punch. The others make fun of purple-shirted guy for his fake mustache. Scarlett, however, is a supportive girlfriend. It looks fine, Errol. You can buckle my swash anytime. And who says there can't be likable romantic dialogue in a vampire story? Because purple-shirted guy is too drunk to drive himself home, Scarlett decides to drive him herself. On the way out, our friend the jock decides to show them that he can smash a beer can against his head. Adamantium Rage! So they drive away and purple-shirted guy sobers up briefly when Sam the Vampire almost hits them. They arrive at Scarlet's home but find it ransacked, along with some writing on the wall in blood. For Sam, pigs die, Scarlet. Ah, damn it, the Manson family got drunk and hit the wrong house again. Back in the desert, a cop car drives up to Toasted Weasel and this guy in a mustard-colored shirt. Hey, officer, how's it hanging? The cop promptly shoots him in the head. Hey, I like this character already. Low, dirtball, hanging real low. Ew? Mustard Shirt charges in and tackles the cop, but thanks to the mighty karate technique of boot to the head, the cop sends him down and shoots him through the heart. Shot through the heart! And you're to blame! You give love a bad name! However, Weasel the Crispy leaps onto the cop's back and knocks off his sunglasses, revealing him to be... Who's a man and a half? I'm a man and a half! Seriously, it's like the Doom Marine was transported into this comic. Suddenly this whole thing is awesome. Oh, and it should come as no surprise that while this character is indeed on the cover, we never see him again in the comic. Say, you know how some people train with attack dogs? They wear these suits that are really protective. You know how they're so protective? The padding! You know, it really shocks me that in a comic that has the Doom Marine, vampires with whirlwind powers, and an evil cult, that I could be so incredibly, unbelievably, pain-inducingly bored. This is why you've got to train for this, people! It's not for stuff like Bimbos in Time, it's for the phenomenally dull and dreadful! So, why the shift to Chapter 2? Well, we're at a hospital now. Two detectives want to interview Scarlet, and shockingly, one of them is Jodan Baker from the movie Final Justice.
You think you can take me? Go ahead on.
Scarlet seems to be suffering some memory loss since she doesn't remember what had happened the night before. And neither do I. What the hell is the point of this sequence? Why don't they just tell us what happened the night before? Oh, but it gets better, because she doesn't even start with that. Instead, she decides to recount how she and Missy bought their costumes. And we couldn't have this scene instead of one of the ones in the desert because... She mentions once again that the Fisherman was stalking her, and she says that his costume didn't match Dracula. Even the comic admits that it's full of crap and it doesn't know what it's doing. Anyway, Scarlet meets up with a group of leather-clad guys from school who are planning on going to a concert later that night. Big metal concert at the Coliseum! It's Dawkins and Poison! You just know that Batman is watching the concert from high above and seething with rage. Still, in the needless flashback, Scarlet tells her parents about the guy following her, and they tell her not to worry, but to stick with her friends and call the police if something goes bad. However, they secretly pull out a gun and worry that it might be someone named Kiris. Scarlet, of course, overhears it, but doesn't know what to make of it. It suddenly dawns on Scarlet that her parents are dead, meaning that now she can become Batman and avenge them, as well as cement a hatred of rock and roll. Oh yeah, just look at her. Just the thought of rock and roll has made her go nuts. Punk is like nothing but death and crime and the rage of the beast, you know? The cops leave her and, Jodan, what the hell's going on with your head? You can close your fist around the whole thing! In any case, in Jodan Baker's opinion, Scarlet's insane and probably killed her own parents for revenge upon finding out that she was adopted. Figuring nobody'd suspect a bunch of clean-cut high school kids. Yes, we should instantly be suspicious of the kids who do well in school. Jodan, you've invented a whole new way to be stupid. We now cut to the desert, where a bunch of guys in white suits arrive, claiming to be from the FBI. Turns out the police investigation is being run by Ossie Davis here. Anyway, it's more pointless padding, so let's skip it. Scarlet dreams of what happened to her the previous night. Seems like this could be done in the actual narrative flow and not a dream, but what do I know? Scarlet and the purple-shirted guy run away from Kiris and his Peter Lorre-type assistant, but they're also chased by the motorcycle gang. Oh god, they're gonna challenge her to a children's card game! Scarlet crashes the car, but then encounters Toucan Sam the Vampire. Oh no, look out! He's got Venn diagram vision! You getting a burger, Sweetness? Or maybe you're hungry for something else? Hey, you're not vampires, you're not even sparkling! Fortunately, Kiris arrives on the scene and blocks the deadly beams of Venn diagrams. Ishvalikar, I summon your power! So in other words, I have the power! Kiris Chris expounds that Scarlet is now outside his reach, but Sam the Vampire is unimpressed, ordering his henchmen to hurl a Molotov cocktail at the car. Flamingo, do it! Flamingo? You named your bald male vampire henchman Flamingo? It'd be kind of stupid for the woman already for a badass vampire name, but suddenly Weasel is looking like freaking Megatron in terms of kick-ass names for vampires. Flamingo. The vampires get a hold of Purple Shirt Guy and drag him off while Karis retreats. Scarlet wakes up in the hospital to the Purple Shirt Guy, okay, his name's Paul, who tells her that the cops think she killed her parents and that they need to run off to figure out what to do. Yeah, fleeing from the law will certainly make you look innocent. For some reason, she dressed in the devil costume again, and he pulls off the tail to make it a skin-tight jumpsuit. Jeez, what was holding the tail on there, gum? He gives her his jacket to keep her warm as she tells him about the flashback/dream, suddenly recalling that he was taken by the vampires. And so our comic ends with her being confronted by the vampire gang along with her rocker friends. Huh, I guess Batman failed to stop the concert. This comic sucks. The narrative doesn't flow naturally, the artwork is subpar, and our title character is only in half of the book. And even then, she's basically an incidental character, since nothing she does affects the plot or the subplots this thing is littered with. So let this comic be an object lesson for first issues. There's a bad comic, and then there's so bored your ass will start to hurt.
No, you're out of order! You're out of order! The courtroom is out of order! The candy machine by the men's room is